I'd like to, I'd like to call to order the meeting of RLRS 78 School Board, February the 8th, 2020. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Stand, please.
I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have one adjustment to the agenda this evening. In addition to Linda and Sean doing a presentation on behavioral incentives, Lindsay Savage is also going to do a presentation or an update on the Winter Kids programs.
Mary,
May I
that's
have a
Lindsay.
motion, please? What?
That's Lindsay Richards, not Lindsay Savage.
Oh, Lindsay Richards. I'm sorry. I apologize. Could I have a motion for approval of the minutes of the January 11th meeting?
So
Chris, and a second?
Second them.
Deborah, thank you. Any discussion or adjustments to the minutes? See none. All those in favor of approval?
Chair cast one.
Okay, thank you. This is a point in our agenda for public comment. I don't believe anybody is there and no one is on Zoom. Is that correct? So we can pass that by? Okay. Let's begin then with the presentations. Linda and Sean, would you do your presentation on behavior incentives?
You want me to go ahead, Georgia?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was asking if we had any public.
Oh,
In the meeting,
got it. Okay.
might want public comment.
Linda, would you like to go first? I have my presentation about 3D printers. Or
Is there anybody who's on?
is there anyone who would like public comment?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding what you guys are saying. I didn't see any public comment.
Nope, I don't think there is any, Mary.
Okay, so I moved on,
Yep. Okay.
okay? All right, so it's to your presentation.
Yep, you're good.
Good. All right. Well, I'm Linda Florence, and I'm the behavior specialist here at the school. And we wanted to share a little bit. When we returned from Christmas vacation, we started a new incentive program with our K-5 students. And we wanted to share with the school board. We put a little bit of information out to parents. Basically, what we are trying to do is when we first came back, we had an assembly where we clearly defined all of our behavior expectations. And now we're in the business of trying to catch the kids being good. We want to create habits in regards to some of the behaviors that we have in school that we want to see, whether it be walking on the right side of the hall, being quiet in line, being polite. We really specifically are looking for things around RLRS, which we talk about respect, leadership, responsibility, and service. That's in our handbook. It is part of our code of conduct, and it is our core expectations. So we used 3D printer. That's why we have a 3D printer here working and printing, because what we did was made lots of different R's, different colored R's, different colors. They're all of equal value in regards to cashing them in at the store. But there's also a lot of incentive to just save, to get your R's from different teachers. So our leadership definitely have a different color, and getting one from one of them is really special. So that's basically what we've been doing. We have lots of different things the kids on Friday afternoon can cash them in for. Some kids are spending them immediately. They want, whether they have 2 or 3, they spend them in our 1R bin. They go for 5, 10, 20, 30, And we've got some pretty nice items that have been donated. So, you know, a pitch for that too. We're always looking for stuff, whether it be little toys and games or big things. Right now, very popular are in the big toy thing is these crystal growing kits. I've got 2 of them and about 12 kids that say that they're saving for that. So always looking for stuff to add to the store. That's here. Unfortunately, you're all not. So if you ever did want to see what we're doing on Friday afternoons, it's kind of cool because we also have students helping, middle school students are helping me run the store. So they're acting as sort of the salespeople, they're collecting the Rs, they return the Rs to the different teachers. And I think we've seen a pretty dramatic change in behavior. Kids never know when I'm going to give them an R. So if they see me in the hall, they might fix their mask, they might get to the right side, they do what we're looking for. And, you know, that's what we're trying to accomplish. So that's, I think, what I wanted to share. Any questions, you guys definitely feel free to reach out.
Awesome, thanks.
Thanks.
And-
Sean was a huge help because he taught me how to use the machine to make the Rs, and we've been producing, each R takes about 18 minutes, so.
Precisely.
So we've been working long and hard on this.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
thank you for letting me share.
And now I'll go underway with my presentation. So this, I'll share my screen here. So
My R is down.
very timely. Whoops. Can you all see my screen okay?
No.
All right. So it's kind of awesome, or it is awesome that Lucy's here too, because when I first came into the position last year, we had 2 printers and both of them were in Lucy's room. And Lucy gave me the tutorial on how to use them, which was really important because they can be a little complex, and she had a really good system on how to use them. So thanks to Lucy, and then I taught what I learned from Lucy to Linda. So that's kind of a good little start to this,
Thanks, Lucy.
this presentation. So I figured I'd start by talking about what a 3D printer is. So this is my definition, so I think some definitions might change, but a 3D printer takes a computer-generated 3-dimensional design and prints the object in layers through a roll of plastic filament. So instead of like a regular print, like a 2-dimensional print on a piece of paper, it prints like that, but in layers to build a 3D object.
Sean, your screen is black.
My screen is black. Can everyone else see my screen okay?
Yes. No. No.
Oh, you can't? Okay.
I can't see it.
Can you see it now?
Okay, now I can. Yes.
Okay. I'll keep it like this then. So a 3D printer takes a computer-generated object, prints it in layers to create a 3D object. So how do we create the designs? So to create a design, one must use a CAD program. So it's kind of like an architectural program to create a design. And at RLRS, we generally use Tinkercad, which is a web-based program that allows the user, which in this case is students or myself, create a design of their choice from scratch, which can then be saved as an STL file. That's really important because the STL file type is what is compatible with the printer that we have. So how does the design carry over to the printer? So after the design is created and saved as an STL file, the STL file must be opened with a FlashForge software on a device. So in this case, a MacBook Air that we have built just for printers. Once the file is opened with the FlashForge software, the orientation and size of the design can be adjusted to fit the printer tray, which is kind of a piece of the troubleshooting area, because the bigger the design, the longer the print, but you can't have it too big because you can't come it off the tray. So there's a little bit of troubleshooting there when you're printing objects. Then the device can either be connected to the printer via a cable, or the file can be exported from the FlashForge software to a USB drive, like a thumb drive. So how do we receive these printers? So the printers were received through a donation from Dave and Sandy Perloff. Lucy actually pointed me to. And the Perloffs are from the Southern Maine area and have donated hundreds of printers to schools around Maine. Yeah, it's great. So they're completely free. And the Perloffs, actually, I Zoomed with them recently. Lucy gave me their contact, and they just recently donated some additional filament for our printers for next year, because we use quite a lot of filament for these Rs. How many Rs did we print, Linda?
I don't know for sure. We started out with 20.
Each color. So we have multiple colors of filaments. Cool.
So I get a lot of the R's back on Fridays. The kids go to the stores, so that's, they go back. But then some kids are saving, so we are still in production.
Yeah.
We used a lot.
I told Linda she might want to devalue her currency because we didn't want to print too many R's, but we just decided to run it. So it all worked out in the end. So what have we done with the printers? It's probably the big question that you might have. So aside from the school store printing, we have used the printers for a few projects during the past year that I've been at RLRS. One particular project was with Kelsey Orestes' 7th grade social studies class. So each student thought of an artifact that they hypothetically found in an abandoned building. The students then built the artifacts on Tinkercad, that CAD program I had talked about earlier. And some students had one design, where other students had multiple designs that were put together as one by like printing multiple ones and then like epoxying them together or gluing them where it had to be. So we printed the artifacts, which each student had designed. And I worked with the students through the process. Some prints required some troubleshooting. It's also my first time really using the printer. So I had some moments where I was scratching my head trying to figure out, like, you know, why is this coming off the tray, or what do we need to do to make this work? And while some like prints were too big, too small, didn't print correctly, we ended up printing all the artifacts and getting them to where they need to be. And the troubleshooting process was and is an advantage for the learning of the process and, you know, problem solving. So what's next for these printers? So Katie Willis is working with students in GT to create board games where they will be printing the pieces for their games. We already kind of printed a couple of them. They need to be larger. Talking about that troubleshooting process we mentioned. And Kelsey is also planning on doing another artifact project with her students like she did last year. And one of my goals this year, I talked to the Perloffs about this, work with integrating the printing into grade levels, because we mainly have just been doing it in middle school. That's really the sweet spot for it, but it can be used for elementary and all different types of grades. So that's kind of the background on the printers. And actually, Rowena's son is using a printer that was donated by the Perloffs to UMFK in a UMFK class. And he's really good at the printer. So I think he's really enjoying it.
Can you figure out
I can try to, yeah. I think it might be someone who's unmuted. Try. So do any of you have questions? I think it is Mary.
Looks good.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sean and Linda. That's awesome.
Mary, I did appreciate it. Thanks. It was a fun adventure. Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much for sharing that with us. I can't tell when I'm muted and not muted. Okay, any question? Yes.
I just wanted to say, as Sean mentioned, my son is doing some extra stuff. And I just want to say that Sean has been such an amazing addition. Even if you just consider it the piece he's doing with middle school in and of itself, he has managed to take my GT kid that had very little motivation and give him these carrots of technology that have been amazing. So I just wanted to thank Sean for that.
I appreciate that, Ro. I agree with you. Debbie, Deb, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted, Deb. I'm sorry.
You're muted. You're
Am
still
I on
muted.
now?
You are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Sean, well done. It's just such a treasure. You're such a treasure to have. We really appreciate everything you do for the kiddos at RLRS, both in school, on the hill, on the road, and you're a real asset, and we appreciate everything you do.
I appreciate that a lot, guys. Thanks. It's awesome to be here too. It's a great time.
Okay. All right, we'll move on then to Lindsay Richards and an update on the Winter Kids program.
All right, how is
Lindsay,
everybody today?
good. Lindsay, I'll share my screen with yours, your slideshow too. Let me just pull it up here.
Perfect. So we are in the 4th week of Winter Kids. It's a 4-week program. We're in competition against 21 other schools. Rangeley was the only one that got chosen for Franklin County, so that's pretty cool. Our presentation, I'm just going to kind of take you through a little bit of what we've done over the last 3 weeks and what's coming up this week. And right now we're tied in 2nd place with, yeah, there's like a square on mine in the middle, but I'm sure that will hopefully go away maybe.
How about now? I might not be able to go in present mode for some reason. I might need to do an update or something. Can you see it now?
It's just like a little square where it says games. Yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yes, it's okay.
Perfect. Great. Perfect.
So this is just kind of the cover of it. And I think everybody probably has heard by now, but there are 22 schools. First place receives $10,000. Second place gets $7,500. Third place gets $5,000. Then it kind of tiers down from there. But every school will receive money. Even the 22nd school will receive $250. So it's pretty cool. Right now we are tied in 2nd place with 5 other schools, but we'll get to that. So like I said, there's 4 weeks. The overall theme this year was the Winter Olympics, and each week had its own theme. So week 1 was about outdoor physical activity, and students all got pedometers, which were really cool. It tells you the time, it tells you your distance, it tells you your steps, calories, so it was pretty cool just to see the kids get excited about how many steps they were taking. We were able to purchase snowshoes with the money I had left in my budget. So we have snowshoes from, I think it's 20 pounds to 210 pounds. So we've got from pre-K all the way to high school kids have snowshoes now to use, which is really cool. The way that the point system works for Winter Kids is we have a rubric each week, and it's numbered 1 through 4, and we have to do everything to reach our 4, and then I have to submit videos or pictures or whatever they've asked for plus our rubric. So week 1 was really difficult because it was outdoor physical activity. It was very, very cold that first week, and everybody was very flexible, which was nice because we had to change teacher schedules around quite a lot. Yeah, so week 1 went pretty well. I think there's a next slide shows a little bit more. So there's always activities that we have to do, and that's just one part. So it actually started on Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which we had no school, but they had to record their steps. And it's about 2,000 steps equals 1 mile. So each grade, there's like a section of K through 2, 3 through 5, 6 through 8, things that they should do. So K through 2 was supposed to track their steps for 3 days and record the weather during those days and see if they walked more on good weather days or less and how that affected it. In the middle school, if you see on the top left corner, they actually had to choose a country that was participating in the Winter Olympics and find their capital and see what the distance was between our capital and that country's capital and figure out how many steps it would take. So if you see here, they chose France and they figured out that it was 66,140, or maybe more than that. It looks like he's still writing, but it was kind of cool because it brought in some math and history as well. The snowball biathlon was fun. We had the huge targets. At that time, we didn't really have snowball snow, so we ran around, we made a course, and they threw little wiffle balls. Bobsledding, they tried out, bobsledding where they're sitting now in the picture. They tried out the luge where you lay on, your back with your feet first, and then they tried skeleton where you lay on your belly with your head first. So that was fun. Snowshoeing we were able to get into. Skating was like the day we had planned, it was perfect, and then the temperature was like -10. So we had to kind of rearrange everybody's schedule again. I think it was like 11:45, and Seth said, it's 0.5 above zero with the wind chill. Let's figure out how we can get all these kids to Haley Pond, because one thing we had to do in week 1 was have all the kids actually on the ice. And so they all did boot skating. They had a blast. Linda at Ecopelagicon was awesome. She had hot chocolate for every single child. We had to also have a guest speaker. And so the next slide shows Peter Christensen. And he met us at Haley Pond. He did 3 different presentations. We had K through 2 come, we had 3 through 5, we had 6 through 8, and it was just awesome. He showed us how he drills holes in the ice, how he checks the depth, how he sprays the ice to keep a nice layer. So he was awesome. And again, it was quite cold that day, and he was flexible because we had planned to do it in the morning and we had to change his schedule. So it was awesome. I think the next slide is week 2. Actually, did you do a video for, and we had to have an opening ceremony. And this was actually, so every week there is 1 bonus point. So if we get a 4 on all of our rubric, we're tied with other schools. But there's always one thing that you can get a bonus point for. So week 1, the bonus was to do a 30-second video clip of your opening ceremony and submit it. So the judges would look at all the opening ceremony clips and choose the one they thought was the best. And that bumped somebody up to first place. And Sean was awesome with our IT. Chris brought in some, I guess, audio for us with the mic. And this is what'd you say?
A PA system. It was pretty awesome. It was pretty clutch, as kids would say.
Yeah, the PA system. Yeah.
I'm gonna play this
And we were
video.
able to also do the senior stockings that day.
Yeah, it was a pretty dense day. I'm gonna play this video. I hope it works for all of you in Zoom land, but this is the video from the opening ceremony.
There's a lot of Boy Scouts.
So it could only be 30 seconds. So I wish I could have fit in more there, but I need to play by the rules. Yeah.
Yeah, he did an amazing job.
Well,
So we had all the students in different grades line up. We had the police chief, the fire chief, the kindergarten left us in a dance of the cha-cha outside, and then they all got to just have fun outside. Week 2 was all about nutrition. So again, there were different things we had to do. One of the things on the rubrics also is that we have to have 3 non-teaching staff participants in every event and have pictures of them having fun. So here in the nutrition, you can see Sherry serving some soup. So we can go to the next slide.
You want me to go to the next
So week
one?
2, they all got water bottles. This is good, the week 2 one. Week 2, they all got water bottles and they learned how much water they're actually supposed to be drinking. Sugar bucks, they got a certain amount of money, which is called sugar bucks, and they could buy snacks, but the price of the snack was however much added sugar was in the food. So like a banana, there's no added sugar, so it was a free snack, so they got to keep their money. But I think Ritz Bits had like 8 grams of sugar, so they had to pay $8 of their sugar bucks. And we still have a bunch of these sugar bucks, so we've actually talked about working with Linda with the incentive program where they can actually buy sugar bucks with their R's and then bring their money to me and get a healthy snack. So that would be kind of cool. We did some trivia, we did a PSA, and then the really fun event that week was a foods from around the world. So we had our kitchen crew made soup from Thailand, homemade Thai rolls, food from Mexico. We had Joanna Ferrar, which was amazing, made a Spanish beans and rice. We had food from Greece, like all this stuff. And we have a little video clip of that too, if you want to play that, Sean.
Sure.
And all this is on our website too.
Mhm. Sorry.
The videos are a little rough. I don't know about you guys, everybody else on Zoom, but if you do want to actually see them, Sean has made a section on our school website and you can see all kinds of stuff. The other thing we had was we had to have a guest speaker for week 1 and week 2. And again, Joanna was our savior. I had somebody all scheduled for that Friday at 8 a.m. And I think it was like 7:30 and he said, "Oh, I can't make it." And I thought, "Oh my gosh, we're on Friday. We have to have a guest speaker talk about nutrition. What am I going to do?" And then I ended up having to leave school that day. And so I called Joanna. I said, "Is there any way you could help us out?" And she came in, like, didn't even blink an eye and showed up, did an amazing presentation. The kids all had a blast. So we were able to get a 4 in that category thanks to her and a last minute change of plans. And the teachers were super flexible, which was helpful because I had already changed their schedules once and had to do it again. So I was really appreciative of that. And for week 2, we had to do a meme. And so it had to be something about nutrition. So we saw this picture of one of our students that had kind of like plopped down after snowshoeing. And so this is the meme that we sent in. Went for the gold, forgot to fuel up first.
Props go to Rowanna for it because she created the meme. Well, she created the wording for the meme, and I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, these bonus things are really hard. I mean, to take an amazing ceremony and just show 30 seconds of it, or try to choose a photo and like wording with it to try to get these judges, it's really hard. We're gonna go on to week 3, but week 3's bonus was a photo, so that was really hard because you kind of had to think about what the judges were looking for, but there were some amazing photos. So week 3 was all about family engagement. And again, I was out all that week. I was out Monday through Wednesday. And so just kind of behind the scenes trying to get people to do things. So Sonia and Nini and Sean, again, were just kind of my, like, I don't know, my people to help me with everything. So it's just amazing, you know, the teamwork at the school and the community. So we had free ice skating and snowshoeing, and they had some of the kick sleds, and we had a bonfire thanks to Snow Source, and Morton and Furbished and Saddleback sponsored a free horse sleigh ride, and we had Rotary donated hot dogs, and the rec department and Ecologicon did s'mores and hot chocolate, and it was just an amazing day. And these are a few of the photos, and the one on the left actually one of our kindergartners took, and we thought that was pretty cool because it came out really nice. And it was just all about family stuff, outdoor bingo, trivia, charades, and then we got that outdoor family night in, which was great. And I don't know, if you're on Zoom, are the videos coming out? I don't know if it's worth playing it or not. They're on our website. I don't know. To me, they're just kind of like breaking apart.
That's fine, Lindsay. I can skip over it. All good. I think that's wise.
And then this is the photo that we submitted, which I thought was pretty cute. I would definitely say that with that photo, I liked it better than the one that won, but it's really hard to choose a photo. And then I think the next one brings us to our final week of week 4. Yeah, so week 4, we're in it right now. We have to build podiums, and I think we have perfect snow after today. I don't know about Rangeley, but in Madrid, we got about 11 inches of sticky snow. So we're gonna make some pretty cool podiums out of snow. We're gonna have some winter sports, the bobsledding, the biathlon, and actually tomorrow, again, we're trying not to change teacher schedules around too much, but at recess, lunch recess, we're gonna have each group have fun and do our little outdoor carnival. The staff from Rangeley Health and Wellness for their CIA is gonna be there to help make snow castles and snowmen. They're gonna have all the supplies, and WRGOI is gonna be there just to kind of get us a little piece on the radio. And then Thursday, we're gonna end up doing our little closing ceremony and parade our little pennants that we made and try to deck ourselves out in green and gold the best that we can. And week 4, the bonus point is a 2-minute highlight reel or video clip of all 4 weeks. So again, that's going to be pretty challenging to do, and try to get the judges to choose our video as the best. So we are tied in second place with 5 other schools right now. There's 3 tied for first place. So if we do win this week's bonus point, we get bumped up to a first place position. So there would be 4 schools tied for first place, and the tiebreaker, which is kind of cool, is a snow sculpture to represent and look like your principal. So if we end up in a tie, we have to try to make a snow sculpture that best looks like Miss Campbell, because she's technically the elementary principal. So I think we have a lot of artistic talent. So if we can make it to that round, I think that would be pretty cool, especially with the snow that we have. So that's where we're at with Winter Kids. It's been a lot of fun, definitely a lot of work. If they do it next year, we now kind of have things figured out, but overall the kids have just loved it. They've had fun. It gives them something to look forward to, and it's really just reminded me how awesome Rangeley is and how the school is, how supportive the teachers are and the community, and just, you know, just so flexible, and everybody's just doing it to help our kids, which is really, really cool. So I hope that, you know, we do win first place, but anything on there would be wonderful.
That was terrific.
Thank
Lindsay.
you to Sean too for doing all of this work.
Comments for Lindsay?
Lindsay, back at you on the work end, because I know it's a lot to organize all of it, and Seth trying to get everyone going to the same place and jumping around. But as you can tell in the pictures, the kids are really, really thrilled about everything we're doing. So
What happened? I had a question. What happens if the 5-way tie continues? Do they take those 5 places and then divide the money by 5?
I don't know. I'm guessing there'll be another tiebreaker, because I'm guessing with the first place, I don't know this for sure, but I'm guessing with the first place tie, they'll probably choose and put them at first, second, and third maybe. and then bump everybody else down, but I'm not 100% sure. It's all pretty new for them too. So there's times where we'll be in the middle of a week and then a question has come up and they have to change something. There was one activity where, to get a 4, you had to have 100% of your students drink their correct amount of water in the day. And so it's kind of like, once they go home, how can we really know that? So they changed it to, you have to encourage every student to do that. So I think it's kind of their first year doing, they're giving away $50,000, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So it's kind of their first year, as far as I know, giving away this kind of money. So yeah, it's a learning process for them and us too, but it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you very much, Lindsay. It was a great presentation. Any other comments,
Thank you.
Debbie?
Yeah, again, congratulations to everybody at school for making this happen. These are the things the kids will remember. They don't remember worksheets and tests and quizzes, but this is the stuff they'll go back and say, you know what, this is what I did when I was a kid. And so you're not only making, great healthy choices for them, but you're also making memories that will last them a lifetime. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, any other comments or questions? Okay, then we'll move on to report out by Chair, Superintendent, Principal, and Student Rep. I just have a couple of things I want to share with you. Abby Thompson sent me a copy of her library newsletter. I hope all of you have an opportunity to look at that. It's located on Facebook, and she also sent out a hard copy to the K-5 students. It's absolutely beautifully done, and the content is wonderful. She has identified all of the Kelly Cott and Newbery Award-winning books. She's making recommendations for a reading list for students at home, and it looks professional. So I hope you have a chance. Kudos to Abby, and I hope you guys all have a chance to take the time to look at that. The other thing I just wanted to mention, I know you're all aware that Janet Wegman passed away a while back. And I just wanted to remind you, she had been with RLRS for 20 years. She retired 2 years ago in February of 2020. And subsequent to that, we named the library after her. And there's a beautiful plaque in the library you might dedicate it to her. You might want to go in and take a look at that. Her husband, Reggie Hammond, who is a decorated Maine guide, warden here in the Rangeley area, although he's retired now, requested that any donations in remembrance of her with her passing be shared with the Rangeley Public Library. So if anybody wants to make a donation, according to our count to date, I think there's been over $3,200 that's been donated to the library. So that's really quite special. So those are two things I wanted to share. Georgia.
Thank you, Mary. I'd like to just start. I want to shout out thank yous to Linda Fines, first of all, for her incentive program. I see it making a difference in our kids. Our kids are excited. They're always looking at adults and looking at ways that they can do better, and that's what we want. And I'm just seeing a real difference in our kids. So thank you for that. I'd also like to thank Lindsay Richards for taking on the Winter Kids. This is not an easy event to take on. It's required a lot of prep and planning. It's involved the community. It has taken a village to pull this off. So no matter how we play out with this, and in my mind, we're winners. So I'd also like to thank Johanna for stepping up the other day and pulling together this presentation. The kids did love it. I loved it as well. The kids learned a lot about foods, different kinds of foods, spicy foods, sour foods. And they had a lot of fun doing it. And okay, an update on our pavilion outside our outdoor learning classroom. The materials have arrived, building has begun. I want to thank Nels Christensen for doing this work. And Nini Christensen, Sonia Johnson, Jeff Larshall, and anybody else that's involved in making this happen. February is not the best time to be building a structure in Rangeley, Maine, and but it's happening, and it's really nice to see that. And lastly, we had a visit from Stratton. I mentioned that at our last board meeting that we were going to be having a visit with them. We had 8 or 9 families. It was roughly about 25 people. Moms, dads, kids all came from all ages. Seth and I sort of wanted to present to them in a real informal manner. We didn't want to come across like it was a sales pitch. We just wanted to talk about what sets us apart from other schools. And I did hear back from Barry yesterday, Barry London, who was their superintendent principal. There is definitely some interest within some of the families. He was actually going to take it to his board last night, and we'll resume conversations about, numbers and transportation. We've started some initial conversation about how to transport, and I think we're both on the same page in trying to meet halfway or come to some consensus about how to make that happen. So that's really exciting. That's all I have.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Any questions for Georgia? Okay, Seth.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Maya go first because I think some of our stuff probably overlaps.
Okay,
So,
sounds terrific. Maya?
I just have a few things. The basketball teams have had a lot of home games in the past few weeks because they were postponed. They were supposed to have one tonight, and everyone was gonna wear pink because their cause that they're playing for this year is breast cancer awareness. So when that's rescheduled, if anyone wants to go and wear pink to support their cause. The ski team is doing good. Tomorrow and Saturday we have our conference championship, and then next week we have our state championship, and then the season will be done. And the drama students or the music students just participated in the Kennebec Valley Honors Music Festival, and Winnie Shell scored her 1,000th point in the last basketball game, so that was really exciting too.
yes, there's a lot on my list.
Thank you, Kayla. Thank you.
The announcer.
So, yeah, like Maya said, lots of stuff going on, almost too much to handle, like organization wise. But if you just go to our school website and go to the sports calendars and stuff, you'll see all the schedule stuff that's been rescheduled. The pink out game is tomorrow. They got rescheduled tomorrow.
Yep.
And one exciting thing about skiing, she didn't say where the states are, but the Class B states are at Saddleback on the 17th and 18th. So it's pretty cool if you want to go check that out. I have just a few more things. We had some art awards, some Scholastic Art Key recipients, honorable mentions, Angelica Woodward, Emily Eastlack, Gracie Keeney, Avery Flewelling, Winnie Shell, Lily LaValle, Bristol Quimby, Lily Schaefer got 2 honorable mentions, and Tori White. Silver Key winners are Emily Eastlack, Addie Hemingway, Lily LaValle, Bristol Quimby. Ella Schaefer got 3 silver keys, Amelia Stokes 2 silver keys, and Shirley Truland. Gold keys, Ollie Shearer got 2 of those. And then Lily LaValle got an honorable mention for art portfolio. Ella Schaefer got an honorable mention for art portfolio. And Winnie Shell got a silver key art portfolio. So that's a, as usual, our program.
Seth, could I ask you?
Yep.
Seth, could I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
Explain about the silver and gold keys and what those mean.
Silver, gold is the number one, silver is number two. That's all I really know. If Sonia was here, it's just like the,
I can speak to it.
yes, Chris is gonna take that one.
Yeah. It's done through the Scholastic Art Program. Sonia works with, the art teachers work with the students to submit for judging pieces. They all get submitted, then they get evaluated. If they reach these award levels, they get the gold, silver keys. I think there's either bronze or honorable mention as
These
well.
honorable mention. Gold,
Honorable
silver.
mention. And then it used to be pre-COVID that everyone's invited down to the Portland School of Art and they do a big presentation and they give you out your keys and all the art gets displayed down there in the hallways of the school. And then certain pieces get chosen to be displayed at the State House. And then we've had several students over the years that actually got chosen from those. One student's chosen each year. We've had the student, I think, 3 times from this school chosen to be shown at the Congressional down in the hallway that they walk between the Capitol and the Senate and the House offices in there. And that's pretty cool. And so they can use different mediums. I know when my daughter did, she did animation and had photography and it was kind of combination. So the students are allowed to work in whatever medium they want. So it's pretty cool. And I think, well, Ollie, they're getting one at, what grade is she in? 8th grade. That's pretty unusual to get.
Yeah.
Pretty unusual to get keys down in 8th grade. So that's quite a feat.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty, that's the most I've heard.
Thank you.
Oh, it's a lot, more than last year. So thank you, Chris.
Thank you very much, Chris.
And I guess, we'll move on, just as far as the 12 o'clock releases go, just tons of awesome stuff going on. Sean's done trainings with multiple teams about website. Actually, that's what the specials team is doing, working on their websites, generating content on there for students to access at home. Middle school is working on an interdisciplinary project. We've discussed a lot of like classroom management, really great conversation about troubleshooting, how to like do things different or, brainstorming a difficult situation. It's been really good. Linda's been part of that. High school is really just right into the project, working into the second phase. They were really bummed today they didn't get to meet with the kids and have this Tuesday to go to the next step. My favorite thing I'm doing is, it's way out of my comfort zone. K-2 is reading Shifting the Balance. It's about blending the science of reading with whole language, Georgia type ideas. It's way out of my comfort zone. I'm a high school math teacher. They speak a different language down there when they talk about reading. So I'm reading the book with them and they're doing an online course called the 6 Shifts. So that's there's a lot of good stuff. And that's leading towards our next steps with our reading and writing program. So a lot of good stuff happening. All the teams want to report out once we wrap it up, probably guessing like April meeting would have to be April, May in there, have some presentations even in June. Yeah, that's all I have right now. I talked for 3 hours after the last couple weeks. But.
All right. Thank you very much, Seth. Okay, we'll move on then to committee reports. And I have been scrolling. Is Kathy Catrini with us this evening?
Mary Kathy was emailing me as Lindsay's presentation was going on, and for some reason she is unable to get Zoom up on her device. I'm not sure if it's a connection device, whatever it is, but she said she'll be unable to make it tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. So we'll skip over her policy report. I can share that the policy committee did meet last Monday at 3 o'clock and went through a review of a number of policies that we'll bring forward as action items probably at our next board meeting with Kathy missing. Okay, Chris, you're going to do a presentation on the 2022-23 school budget.
Yes, thank you, Mary.
Chris,
So we've got good distancing here. I'm gonna take off my mask so I can talk.
I'll share my screen, Chris. So
Okay. So I'm excited to say that we've worked quickly, efficiently, and I think well together as a team to get this budget together. And we're just gonna kind of top dress it tonight. And then I'm gonna suggest that we table it and then vote on it in March. And that gives everybody a full month to digest. If they have any other questions. If we'd like, if you have questions, to send them in to Georgia, myself, Roxanne, and Sheila, so we can get the information in. And if we feel that there's enough there that we need to do a workshop between now and March 8th to discuss further, we can. But I think we had a good team work on this, and I think you're gonna like what we've got here. So we could take 4 hours and go through it in detail for everybody, because it's nothing else to do on a snowy night, but I think for the most part, what we're gonna do is George is gonna cover some of the key things. This packet will be available once the board officially votes and accepts it, that it will go out, but we thought we'd give a sneak preview tonight on the Zoom call for those interested. All the board members do have the full packet, but it's not ready to go the official step until we have a vote, a full vote to accept. So for all extensive purposes, I guess I should say for the legal caveat that this is a draft, but it's a pretty darn good draft. So, Georgia?
Okay, so do we have the budget synopsis stuff?
Yep, that's the page I'm on.
All right,
Can I just,
sure.
Rose sent me a question, just how specific in the minutes does she have to be during this? Did she just say, Chris opened, Georgia discussed 5 points?
That's sufficient, and,
Okay.
and then we will just, that it's gonna get tabled, and
Okay,
it will be available for the public after the probably the March 8th meeting, right?
you get that, Ro?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so
Thanks, Seth.
Thanks,
I-
Ron.
So I think the synopsis that's at the beginning of our budget really sort of spells out everything that impacts this budget. And so I'll go over these, a little bit now, and then, like I said, if you have questions about any of these items, please feel free to reach out, and we'll get answers for you. We are looking this time around at a 1.289% increase in local allocation, the money that the towns have to raise. We are bringing a 3.96% increase to this year's budget, which is down about 0.91% from last year. Our teacher, support staff, and administration, increase in wages. Those are negotiated, those are fixed costs. Our teacher contract negotiations resulted in a 3.72% increase. And our support staff contract was averaged at 5% increase in wages, which was a total of about $53,360. The administration increases are pretty consistent in about 3.5%. The estimating, the Blue Cross and Blue Shield increases, those at this point in time are estimated at very high. We expect those to be lower, but for the sake of safety reasons, we're gonna aim high, and so once we have that figure, we'll let you know.
But we're setting it at the 10.
We're setting it at the 10. Yep.
So it's a 10% contingency. So we're hoping it'll be little to none,
Yeah.
and which will then allow us to have even more savings.
Right. Workers' compensation rates, they've increased in this year's budget. You will see that as you look through each of the cost centers. You'll see an increase in those. It's an increase of overall in $13,205.08. It is based on usage in time and overall cost of the injury. So that's basically why that we have an increase there. And most likely, will be impacted, potentially a couple years out. Previously, we funded our elementary guidance position, in our 6 through 8 interventionist position. This position was approved by the board. This position is not a new position. It was partially paid in grant money. It's now landing in the local budget, along with our full-time substitute position and our Ed Tech 3 high school credit recovery interventionist Ed Tech. Our technology coordinator position, if the budget is approved, this new position will replace the current technology coordinator position with added responsibility and days, part of which will be the responsibility of the communications piece, which is huge for us.
And with the continuing need of remote learning, if it could pop up and those type of things, we have to be on top of our technology.
Yeah, so a new job description, just to add to that, a new job description went to policy committee last week and was approved. So if you have any questions about what that, that looks like, please, I'm happy to share that. We are adding as assistant varsity coach, or would like to add, have assistant varsity coach stipends to our athletic programs, so that all sports will have assistant coaches, and doing this as a means of creating some equity across the board with sports. It would be a $4,500 increase to our budget. We're also looking at raising the athletic director, the assistant athletic director, and the athletic medical manager slightly, about $450 across the board for those 3 positions. Our grounds contract, we have a $24,500 increase to our winter contract this year. That's just where we're at. That's where the bid came at. We didn't have any wiggle room there, and so that's a little bit more than we paid in the past. But transportation. So there were some adjustments made in the transportation budget. We, in the past, had a bus driver position we had an in-town run, we had a McGalloway run, we had, and we have a Foster's run. And then there was an additional run in a bus driver in the budget. That bus driver has been cut. We can do our runs with 2 in-town runs in our Foster run. Also, we have had in our budget, we've been advertising for an additional bus driver / custodian position. We have cut that position out of the budget as well. Let's see.
We also get
Some revenue.
the revenue from McGalloway because they switched to an unorganized territory. So as you know, they left our system and switched to tuition-based. So you may look at the costs might look a little bit higher in some spots, but in reality, if you take the revenue that comes in, it's a fairly revenue neutral event.
As you look through the budget, you'll see some disparity there between the administration cost centers from last year to this year. It was because I was actually put in those cost centers as a pre-K to 8 principal, I'm a pre-K to 5 principal. So there was just some adjustments made to the cost centers. There was no financial impact to the budget itself. And then we will see that there's an increase in instructional materials, I think, in the K through 8 lines. This is for A reading curriculum, it is about 21,000 total. They, as Seth talked a little bit about a few minutes ago, the elementary team, they're doing a book study right now, you know, on the components of the most current components of the best approach to teaching reading, and this will help hopefully choose our curriculum. Let's see, and then athletics, there's a $7,200 increase in repairs and maintenance, fields and things like that need to be repaired. There is also an increase in supplies and uniforms. You'll see that, you know, in COVID time, we didn't play sports last year, so just keep that in mind when you're looking through those cost centers, that the increase is, you know, pretty close to where it was the year before.
Bridget, we did have a question. I don't know if this is the right time to ask it. Should I ask it at the end? This is Daniel Lemay.
Is that the last of that page?
Yeah, and I mean,
Yep.
the co-curricular is dues and fees, and that's basically the drama club.
Not drama, but drama club.
Club. Increases to drama club. Drama club got hit a little bit this year with their play. I've asked that she just put in the budget what she needs and budget, and so that's where that increase is showing up.
We'll take the question.
Okay, awesome. The question was from Daniel Lemay, and it was, who is getting new uniforms? I don't know if we know
That's a
that.
good question.
Maybe it's a good question for Jeff.
Yeah, I can't answer that
Maybe
question right
soccer.
now.
Okay.
What is it?
They
I
work,
believe it's soccer, but I could be totally wrong.
yeah, they work on a rotation.
Yeah, Jeff's got a rotation. I know that every 2 or 3 years, we end up sticking in this $5,500 or so to buy the next set of
Yeah.
uniforms. We don't put it in every year. It's a standing budget because it's kind of rotates based on the line.
And that's
But
for
the
both,
athletic director would have that information. He's not here tonight. I
is it for
apologize.
both middle school and high school? I think it is, right? The rotation's both for middle school and high school.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I apologize, Danielle. We don't have that exact info tonight, but Jeff has it. I'm sure if you emailed him, he can give it to us.
Does that suffice, Danielle? Yeah, we got a response to that. student.
Okay.
We're all set. Yeah, she said yes.
All right,
Okay.
super.
Thanks, Danielle.
So I'd like to go to the next page. And then this, I just wanted to kind of explain. In 2021, that budget got trimmed back some because COVID had just started. We didn't know where things were gonna go. There still was a 2% increase, despite some of the cuts that the board did right on the spot. Last year, we had a 3.752 increase, which those of us on the board heard a lot from the taxpayers on that piece. So we went into this year trying to do where we could to offset some of that. Some of that was infusion of any from our cost reserves to help some with tax relief as well as other pieces. So 1.289 or 1.29% increase is pretty darn good if as you can see from the numbers that Georgia just went through. We had a new contract year for teachers. This was the second year of that. There was an increase there. Support staff, there's a 5% increase there, and admin 3.5%. And as all of you know, that's pretty well published out there, is inflation was 3.5%. So it's pretty important that we're at least trying to keep up with inflation on that part. And as most of you who are familiar with this budget, the lion's share of the budget's your labor. It is with most entities, especially with a school.
74%.
74% of the budget's that. So if 74% is averaging between 3.5 and 5% on the labor stuff, to come in at 1.289 meant that Georgia and the team had to kind of sit down and go through and figure out what's needed, what can we do in some of these pieces. And as you can see from the calculations that were there, we came in with a 4%, a 3.96, 4%, whatever you want to call it, increase in expenses. So We had some other places where we can pull some other revenue in those pieces, so that got us down to this 1.289. Now, if you look at the individual towns, I'm not gonna go into all this. We can't control how many students are in each town. So for instance, some towns picked up a student, some towns lost a student, some towns lost 4 or 5 students, maybe they went to a different district or whatnot. So what happens is it's the total number of students and then it's allocated on a percentage of the number of students to each town. So it could be a 1.289% global increase, but various towns may see a slight adjustment one way or the other based on how many new enrolled students that they picked up, or may see a significant savings due to less students. For instance, Range and Plantations going from traditionally 14 students down to 9. So they're going to see a drop of about $100,000 from last year to this year. And Rangeley's ran about the same. So all of these things are going to come into effect. So we can't control those pieces, but what we can control as a team is working. We have our contract costs, which are set, negotiated in there. We have expenses, which the team works hard on, and then we have cash management to try to balance the three. So I hope that gives a little bit of a good explanation for that. I'm not going to belabor all of you with going through each little section here tonight. We are going to have this available once it's approved by the board to go forward. And then there'll still be 2 months before we have the public hearing. And those are still, so there's still time to be able to comment on those pieces. So unless anybody has further questions tonight, I would like to make a motion that we table the vote on this to the March meeting. Any questions?
Any questions on that?
And excuse me, and given, Chris, that we don't have it on our agenda as an action item, that was the intention, was to just present it this evening. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on then to Deb Ladd in the Facilities Committee.
All right, can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah.
All right. Well, all right. Well, we met on February 3rd at 4 o'clock. We meet the first Thursday of each month. And those meetings are scheduled and they're on the website. If you're interested, you can always come and listen in. George has already spoken to the budget, so there's no real need to talk anymore about that. The only other item that's a potential budget item being added is some shelving for the library. Those shelves were original when the building was renovated, and they're nearing the end of their safety life. So those, I believe, are going to be ordered. Is that correct, Georgia?
Yes, we're looking into it.
Yeah.
We're looking into
Right.
trying to cost of those in this current budget.
Regarding the update, Sean spoke about that last month, and the purchase order's been sent. There's no additional work that we need to do. We're just waiting for them to kind of get started on that. And if you're interested in all the details about Desigo, I think I pronounced that correctly. Sean is the expert there. The one thing that they suggested we may add is a key card feature that would allow staff to enter the building using a card. That is not in the plan for right now, but it's certainly something that can be added, and there'd be additional software that you'd have to design to purchase in order for that to happen. Had a few but a few boiler issues with the pellet piece not working properly. I believe that's been fixed. The oil burner does kick in when that doesn't go, and it's not a problem with the pellets, it's a problem with a technical piece, some sort of equipment, and Sean also spoke to that. And I believe that has been rectified, and I hope people are warm. It's not warm here either, so, but it's relative. The elevator inspection was done recently with that's passed. Everything about that is working. There was an issue with the bleachers not pulling out properly. Huzzy was contacted and I believe that has been repaired. We already heard about the materials for the outdoor pavilion. I'll be anxious to see that when I get back. Cabinets being ordered for the middle school science room. They will be the same or as similar as the closer we can get them to the high school science cabinets. And I'm sure Sarita will be happy to have those when they arrive. Still working on finding the best possible flooring option for the portable, and Jeff's not here tonight, so we won't hear much about that. But we're still looking into whether it's taking the carpet out and some sort of laminate floor, vinyl floor. Not really sure yet, but he's waiting to hear back from several different vendors. One of the things Georgia mentioned was that the security camera platform is full. And she also mentioned that potentially we could move a camera from one part of the building to another and address an area where it is most needed. And then the last piece that I have, we'll share with the board when we have more information, but we did receive a PowerPoint presentation from Chris and a contact at Revision Energy regarding a potential installation of solar panels on the school roof. Right now, it's a pretty long proposal with all of the bells and whistles. We'll send it out to the board to take a look at. But right now, we just need to gather a lot more information before we decide if that's something that we should move forward with as a district. That's what I have.
Okay. Thank you very much, Deb. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll move on. We have 2 more additional items on our committee reports. These are just standing items on the agenda because the board established 2 areas of goals that they were going to work on this year. The first one has to do with board communication, goal 1. Chris, do you have any comments to make on that at this point?
Sure, I always love to make comments. Well, we are.
Just ask.
Yeah, we've come a long way so far. We do have a copy of the law, but more importantly, just recently Drummond Woodson sent out some information that kind of pokes a couple of holes on what MSMA has proposed. So we'll be workshopping that against the law, against the policy that Kathy's pulled together for us, and see between the 3 we can come up with the perfect combo for our administration, as well as see if we can see what a couple of the other districts have already come up with, because there's really no need to reinvent the wheel. Might need to be tweaked a little to fit our community, but if someone's already got a good plan, I'd like to see it. So,
And I'm happy to do that.
right, Georgia said she was going to reach out to a couple, and I know some of you are on our board and worked in other districts and have some relations there, and maybe you can reach out and see if you can get a copy from the former district you worked at and send it up so we can try to get through that and shoot to try to have something to talk about in March, April at the latest. Okay, that's it.
Oh, Mary, you're muted.
Thank you, Chris. Goal 2 is the curriculum committee. I can share with you that at our policy meeting on last Monday, Kathy decided that the most effective way for that group to get together would be to start the meetings at 2:30, talking about curriculum when Georgia and Seth can be with us, and then moving into policy from 3:15 to 4, which is our regularly scheduled time. So I think it's the intention that the last Monday of this month, we will be doing that and having that conversation. Okay. Appointments, resignations, nominations, and/or transfers. Are there any, Georgia, for this evening?
I do not have any.
Okay, thank you very much. We have action items, 8 of them in total that are all policy. And given that Kathy isn't here this evening to describe either the adoption of new policies or revisions that have made to existing policies, I think I'd like to move those action items to our March meeting. And we will discuss those.
That's funny, Mary, because I was just gonna propose the same thing to you. So that's great. I agree.
So you're in agreement with that then? I think given, I was at that meeting. I was at that meeting, but I do not feel confident to really walk you through those 8 policies and share specifically. I wasn't prepared to do that. I thought Kathy was going to be with us tonight. So I will table those and we will present those again in March. So having said that, our next meeting is the 8th of March. And I need a motion to adjourn at 7:17.
So move.
Chris, a second? Debbie, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time. Look forward to seeing you in March.